Well, let's get right to it. I want to know, like, I went to your website and I checked you out, of course, and I found out tons and tons of stuff about your company, but I didn't find out much about the person, who Keith Brooks is and what led him down this path of founding B2B Whisperer.
Right. Uh, well, the path is a long one, that's for sure. And one of the things that came out of my background was basically trying to work with people, especially startups, who are trying to get bigger, trying to do more, trying to accomplish things. And a lot of times, you're still you. You know, it's just one person doing that work. And so sometimes it's just advising people and saying, hey, you know, if you tried this or thought of that, sometimes it's actually a lot of effort, right? You need logic, you need documents, you need formats, you need planning. Everyone's got different aspects. And so the planning for B2B Whisperer came out of the fact that I wanted to help everybody, especially in the B2B space, get out there and do more. And that came out of years of product marketing, product evangelism, also a technical background, and some other things where I enjoyed more of the business part, but I also wanted to be on the front lines and talk to people rather than just sit in the back somewhere and just write and write and write or play with whatever the stuff is. And also because when you're on the front of your individual, you got to do everything, right? We can't be selling if we're doing, we can't be doing if we're selling, right? And the trick is to get to the point where more can be done without you doing in the background, so you can spend more time selling. And so that was part of what led me to open up the shop as B2B Whisperer.
Wow. So when you were younger in your career, did you always know that you were going to launch a company that would help people?
I wouldn't say I knew I was going to launch a company that would help people, but I definitely knew I wanted to have my own business.
Mhm.
Um, I had worked for a couple places early on when I was in college, when I was just out of college. And I just kind of wasn't excited by the lack of communication and the lack of love that the employee got from the company.
Mm.
A lot of times it was very, well, blah, 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 blah. And then you join and then it's like, that's not at all what we thought it would be. And, nothing here is really quite what it was. And even today, it's even worse. Back then, you could stay at a company for 10 years, 20 years. Nowadays, it's very rare to find people who stay 5 years. So it has become really different. And I don't think I really thought I was going to go out and help people initially. But with the business now, it's been about 10 years or so I've been doing it. It really was all about helping startups and helping the founders and helping people in those startups get more forward and help them do what they want. Sometimes it's just about the money, helping you figure out where and how to pitch better. And sometimes it actually is just, you've got the money, now what do you do with it before you blow it? So it's a little bit of everything.
Wow, that's so interesting. I like what you said. I worked in corporate. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I don't usually talk about that on this podcast. But I worked
That's
in
fine.
corporate America after I left the Navy. And I worked there for about 7 years and worked my way up the little corporate ladder. And what I realized was that a lot of times there is a glass ceiling. A lot of times it's kind of like a bait and switch. You get hired at a company thinking it would be one way, and then you realize that it's going to be something completely different, and it's very
Exactly.
frustrating, right? And then there are times where you have to you can't stay at a company anymore for 10 years. It's impossible. What you
Right.
do is you go collect new skills, sharpen those skills, and then you go apply at another company where you can use those new skills to make more money, to advance yourself, if you're going to play that corporate game. But
Right.
uh, what I realize though is if you really want to be of service at some point, and especially with a military background, going out on your own and launching your own company, even a small company that can provide a service or help people in some way, can be a lot more enriching and fulfilling, even though it can be a harder journey. What do you think about that?
That's exactly it. It is a lot harder. There's no question. And there's a lot of people because they lost their jobs and they're like, I need to do something, and they go open up a shop doing whatever it is. But that really is almost like a temporary job because they're not really dedicated to the purpose. They're there because it's like, I don't have a choice. I need to make money. How am I going to make money? And for some of those people, that's going to work. But for most of them, it's not, because they're basically going to realize, I don't have time to do all the stuff I got to do. I don't even know the stuff I think I need to do. And the cost to start up, while it sounds like it's free, it's really not. And getting that first customer, as we know, is the hardest, right? If you don't have that first customer, you've got nothing for your future. Getting the first customer is hard. Getting the second customer becomes easier. But for some people, they can't spend the weeks or months that it might take to get that first customer. So it's definitely not an easy road. And in fact, a lot of people do give up on it because of that purpose and that problem. With a military background, like everything is nothing is insurmountable. You just need to put in the effort and plan, maybe to work a little harder to do something than you would have done, beforehand.
So if I was just starting out, what advice would you give me to launch my business? Like, could you give me like a series of steps?
Well, the best thing, of course, is to figure out what it is you do well and who would need it. Sometimes that's your existing work. Sometimes it's your existing employer. Sometimes it's maybe customers. Sometimes it has nothing to do with it. Maybe you just have a skill that other people like, wow, I wish I did that. Like, can you do this for me? And that's how people often get into like handicraft work, where, working with wood or maybe pottery or artistic stuff. It's like, oh, I never did that. But for other stuff, you really need to think, what am I going to offer people? What is my customer? Who is my customer? Where is my customer? And well, you don't necessarily need to plan a whole bunch of things. You do need to kind of give yourself an outline of what you want to do. So you have an idea when you go talk to people and give them that 30-second pitch and say, here's what I do. Can I help you with it? That's because that's what people remember. People don't remember that you did 25 different things. They remember you say you do this, great. And that either works for them or it doesn't, or maybe they'll refer you to somebody. But you need that focus. You need to know what it is you're going to offer people. It's like, I'm just going to offer content marketing. Well, that's nice, but is it a niche? Is there a specific aspect? Are you medical? Are you fintech? Are you this? Are you that? You need to have something that really gives people the reason to want to talk to you and want to hire you. Otherwise, you're just kind of filling space, which doesn't help anybody.
That niche is so important. It's one of the things that we teach at London Real Academy, and niching down until it hurts, to be so specific on the messaging that you're going to give a potential client or customer or audience is really, really crucial. Mm-hmm.
100%.
So once we kind of know what we're going to do, how do we actually get that business out there? How do we find our voice and market it? Because I know that you do marketing advisory as well for organizations. So how do you help them start to spread the word? Because once you have the concept, you need people to know about it. So pitch is one way, but what else can we do to refine our voice?
Right. So that actually gets into a very hard stage for a lot of people. How to market yourself. Most people don't want to talk about themselves. Most people don't even know how to talk about themselves, let alone what it is they're going to do for people. And it's not simple. You pretty much want to start with a basic sentence. I do X for Y to give them Z. I do marketing for startups to help them make more money. Something simple, something just the basics. From there, the sky is the limit. If you're wanting to do a job as a content writer, then you probably want to start writing content and getting it out there. You want to show people what you can do. If you're a graphic person or if you're a website designer, you should put out some demos or at least make one for your cat or whatever it is. Just so you have something to show people the stuff you've done or the stuff you could do. And then once you have a small portfolio, a couple of things to tinker with and play with, then you want to basically say, okay, Now let's figure out where's my best effort? Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Facebook? Is it something totally different? Do I want to go down the Reddit, rabbit hole? There's all kinds of places and things you can do, and everything works differently for everybody. In case in point, a lot of people think I do a lot of marketing on LinkedIn, and the last 4 projects I've got all came from Facebook. So it's kind of a funny thing because I don't advertise on Facebook. I interact with people on Facebook and help people, question people, ask things and support people. But the last 4 projects came from there. So if you had asked me, a few years ago, where did I get business from Facebook? The answer would have been no. But that's where I'm getting business from. So